Good evening. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the Montgomery County Democratic Party meeting this December 8, 2022. And we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Zach Joseph.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Zach is serving as our temporary parliamentarian today, so thank you, Zach. Appreciate you, sir. At this time, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda. Motion to move. Is there a second? Second. All right, move and second. Any questions on the agenda? Zachariah, put your hand down. That's my son. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any against? All right, here and now, we'll move forward. At this time, I would like to take a motion to approve the minutes from our September 29, 2022 meeting, which were presented earlier. May I take that motion?
So moved.
It is so moved by John Murphy. Who's second? And Zach Zuppel, there's a second. Any corrections to the minutes now that everybody's had a time to read them? I heard there was at least one correction. All right, it was the correction of a spelling of a name. And for the record, which name are we correcting? All right.
So the motion on the floor would be to correct or to strike the incorrect spelling of Melissa Field Airlines name and to correct, input the correct spelling. So I need a motion. And a second.
We'll call, and who was the second? Mary. All in favor? All right, motion passes. Any other? All right, hearing none. Yes, sir.
It's not a big deal, but I noticed the minutes say that the previous minutes were distributed electronically, and I know this is the first copy of minutes I actually saw. It's not a big deal.
I think the previous minutes from the last meeting before that, right?
Maybe I just didn't get them. I don't know.
No, I mean, they were distributed electronically. We'll make sure you get it if you didn't. All right, no problem. If there are no other questions about the minutes, we'll move on. Chair announcements. Look, we've had an exciting and interesting year. Is LaRonda here with me? LaRonda and I recently attended the ODP meeting to review the year. And Montgomery County did a lot better than other counties. In fact, they shouted us out at ODP for doing, they made a small investment in us and we pulled it through. We got two great judges through out of the three that ran. We kept, thank you. Yeah, that should be tremendous. Thank you. We held on to Carolyn, I mean, that should be big, right? And Carl Keith was the top vote getter in Montgomery County. Top vote getter in Montgomery County. And I believe he beat everybody. He got more votes than everybody, including the person that was running for Senate on our side, right? Yeah. So we did some good things. But I want to be very honest with you, 2023 is going to be a tough year for Democrats. Our focus for 2023 will be defeating the 60% majority language that they're going to try to put into May. The Republican Party is trying to put a ballot measure that will require 60% majority for any change to the Constitution. It's never been done before. And they're going to put it for the May primary. Because they know turnout will be lower, and it'd be tougher for us to get volunteers to organize against it. Now, the reason they're doing it is very clear to all of us. It's because they want to defeat any ballot measure we put on for 2024 that has to do with women's health, right to abortion, and redistricting. Even though I think they feel safe on the redistricting now that they have the judges. No matter what we pass, I think those judges are going to find a way around it. But reality is 2024, there will be a ballot measure There are 3 competing Democratic ballot measures languages right now. Hopefully they can get together and make it into one. There will be a ballot measure in 2024 for abortion, right to abortion. If the 60% majority language passes, and that becomes part of our Constitution, I love the state of Ohio. I'm not sure we can get 60% for any ballot measure. That's what and they know that. They know that. So that will be our focus for 2023. I want us to be laser focused. We'll have local elections. Of course, we'll support our candidates. Candidates who will be endorsed by our party will support you. We'll knock on doors for you. We'll send out your mailers like we usually do. But our focus as a party, as a local party, as a statewide party, needs to be on defeating this measure. Otherwise, I think 2024 will be a wash for us. Okay? Here's some good news, I guess. I don't know. The good news for us is we actually outperformed what they thought the trends were for Montgomery County. Montgomery County is now one of the biggest swing counties in the country. Not in the state, but in the country. Based on data, we're supposed to be one of the biggest swing counties in the country. And so we actually outperformed that this cycle. But our turnout was down by 3% compared to the last cycle. Now, I'm not talking total turnout, I'm talking about Democratic turnout. Close to 5% down, actually. So that is going to be another area of focus for us. We have to focus on figuring out our turnout. And there are areas for us to pick up, but the turnout was in majority Democratic areas, was lower than we needed to be, which made some of our races much closer than they needed to be. If we can increase our turnout in Democratic areas by 5%, we can take a big sigh of relief a little bit, right? And not be this close. As you recall, Carolyn's race was close, but you guys remember Judy Dodge was just as close last cycle too. And we don't really know who's going to be on the 2024 ballot on their side. We really don't. We don't know, right? Could be, God forbid, Trump again. Could be somebody who's crazier. So, I don't think that's reality, right? So, look, that has an effect on down ballot votes for us, okay? So I just want to make sure we're gearing up for this fight with 24 in the long view, but for now, our fight has to be 2023 for May. All hands on deck. All hands on deck. Here's the other piece that was shared with us that kind of was depressing. We had the lowest number of volunteers in the state ever. Not for just Montgomery County, I'm talking about statewide for the Democratic Party. I'm going to give you something to think about. When Obama ran in 2012, we had 555 organizers around the state. And most of them were paid, so some of it is financial. This cycle, we only had 77 around the state. It makes a big difference. Some of it is financial, which we will see in a minute. With that, I'm going to call my treasurer up. I wanted to kind of get all this bad news out of the way, right, and let you tell me more stuff. With the treasurer's report. All right, come on up here. Thank you. I stole your. I know.
Okay. Go ahead there. Okay, so, we had some really great fundraising efforts over this cycle here. We raised a lot and we spent a lot. And so, yeah, the previous slide was where we started from the last meeting. We're doing pretty well. We raised even more after that. But here's our current state of the accounts. We have some work to do to get to where we need to be, not just to pay our bills, but to do the things that Mo is talking about. Right now, we are just under $6,000 in the political account, and as I put in the report last meeting, that's where we have most of our activity. That's where we pay a lot of our bills. It's how we pay for mailings. It's how we pay for most of our activity. So it is crucial that we start raising money again very soon to replenish the coffers there. The judicial account, you can see the numbers there. I don't know that we've had that much activity in that account in many years, but thanks to, again, great fundraising efforts, we were able to raise $77,000 and spend just about $74,000. The restricted and state candidates funds have stayed the same. There's been no activity there. And the building fund continues to slowly trickle downward as we pay our rent. That is the only bill we pay from that fund. But you see that diminish every month because that only goes down at this point. So we've got some work to do. I've pretty much said it already, but I think what's next for us is a focus on fundraising. We will start talking in the early part of next year about a full annual fundraising plan for the party, but we're already starting now to talk about a spring fundraiser, the Frolic for Funds. We hope will be kind of in the normal time frame, but we'll get some details together, and hopefully by the next meeting we'll be able to share some more information about what we're looking to do there. But that has always been a critical fundraiser for us. It's been one of the things that's helped us keep the lights on, to keep an executive director paid, to do all the things we need to do to support the other efforts, not just put those efforts on, but to support the efforts that we have for our candidates and for our parties. So that's all I have. If anybody has questions about the numbers, I'm happy to take them. Otherwise, I will give this back to Mo.
All right, no questions. Thank you for the treasurers. At this time, I will take a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented. It's moved by Matt Joseph. Who's second? Gus. All right, any questions? Gus. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays out there? I do want to shout out a couple people who helped me with the fundraising effort this year. I want to shout out Jen Murphy, who was a great help to me. I know she's from call time to making sure I have a plan, to forcing me to have meetings with top donors around the state. And as pointed out, we raised $77,000 in the judicial. Historically, we usually raise $15,000. That helped us get 2 mailers out, a radio ad, social media ads, which really helped us. We also fundraised, more money into our political. And you guys saw not only do we mail out the slate, but we mailed out a second piece with our top candidates, being on there. We highlighted Carl, Carolyn, Addison, and what was our last one? I would have said LaRonda as well. And that piece I thought made a difference. And I just want to be clear, that stuff is expensive. I think every mail piece cost us close to $17,000 to $18,000. And the other thing it helped us with is we actually went with an expanded universe of 60,000 households rather than the usual 45,000 household universe that we use. So thank you I want to thank the former chair who's here, Mark Owens, who was a great help with fundraising as well. I used his name for a fundraiser, and we did fundraise off of his name, and it went great. I want to thank Dennis Lieberman for helping me as well. He's not here, so appreciate it. I want to thank the Democratic lawyers who helped with the judicial fundraiser. Thank you, guys. So appreciate it. The last thing for me as a chair announcement is with a sad heart, but with hope that I want to announce that Zach Zubilder will no longer be our executive director after the end of the month. This is his last month. He will be moving on to greener pastures. So I want to, if you guys want to take the moment and just thank him on our behalf and give him a hand for the hard work he's done. He came during a difficult time, during the transition, and he stuck, even though I think he was originally told he'll be here for 3 to 4 months while the transitions happen. I kept him on longer than he wanted. So I really appreciate your hard work. You made me look good, and you took all the good and bad that came with Muhammad. So I appreciate you being here. So thank you for that, sir. At this time, I do want to highlight another race that while we didn't win, we came really close. And that's Addison Crusoe. He's in the back right there. Addison did a hell of a job. And I know LaRonda's not here. I don't know if she's not, but her race wasn't close. But I'm pretty sure Phil Plummer lost his race for chair or speaker because of her race. So she deserves a thing for that. I think she distracted him enough to focus here, so he can really focus on the speaker race. So good luck, good job, LaRonda. We hope she sticks around. At this time, I will take any candidates who ran, who want to, and give them 2 minutes to come and thank this committee. Addison, I mentioned you want to come up first, since you're here. Come on up, sir. You're here. Come on down. We don't have a wheel or something.
I'll keep it brief. Thank you to the committee, the party, just everyone out here. So many of you are volunteers, helpful donors, give me advice, consoling me. It takes a village, and each one of you were a big part of that village to make this campaign possible. We ended up coming about 400 votes short. So with a fraction of the budget, and with the name ID and everything as a first-time candidate, so you all were such a big part of this race. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I hope that everyone else is able to take some time to get some rest and relax before we kick off and get hopefully some good candidates elected next cycle. So thank you again, everyone. It really means a lot, and I just appreciate all your support, help throughout this process. So thank you again.
Julie's here. Julie was, I believe, one of our. Were you the top judicial vote getter? Yeah. Congratulations.
I'm just going to mimic Asin. Thank you so much for all of your help. This is the first time I ran for something, so it was quite eye-opening, but I had so many people who offered help, assistance, just listened to me complain on nights that I thought, geez, I don't know if I can do this anymore. The phone calls that people made, the knocking on doors that people did, passing out my literature, I cannot thank you enough. And that's what did it. That's really what did it. Getting my name out, having people talk to people, the volunteers in the garage for early voting. One thing I will tell you is probably one of the more uplifting experiences I had was standing in the garage during early voting, because it was nice because the good majority of them coming in were Dems, and they all came in and they gave you a high five and I'm going to vote for you, and when they walked out they gave you a thumbs up, and you just thought, geez, this is great, So it does kind of pump you up, and those people that are in there doing that make the difference, because we're passing out that information with the names on it, and a lot of people come in not even knowing, especially who the judicial candidates are. So pointing out who the judicial candidates are really made a big difference. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I will do the best I can. And anyone who ever wants to stop into my courtroom just to check it out, feel free. I'll be there starting January 1st.
Mike, you speaking for Carolyn? All right. And Carl just walked in, so we'll call him after you.
This is high risk, allowing me the microphone. But Carolyn gave me some notes that I wanted to mention. So, as many of you have heard Carolyn talk before, she always says, thank you, thank you, thank you. And really, she's honored to be in a position to be able to serve for another 4 years. And thanks to all of you here in the room. And there's many of you here tonight that supported Carolyn through this whole process. But she wanted me to make sure I mentioned the poll workers, the Board of Elections for counting all the votes, and really all the people that sat in the garage in the early voting. At one point I was banned from going into the garage.
You was.
But anyway, we got past that. But really, a special thanks to her team, and that's Zach. And give Zach another round of applause. Her team and everybody on her team that put all these plans together, but especially the local Dem clubs, the South Dayton Dems, Northwest Dems, all the clubs that supported Carolyn through this whole process. And you need a big round of applause for everything you guys have done as well. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the labor organizations. You know, there's a number of you here tonight, but without your support, we wouldn't have got to the finish line. And also the Mo in the Democratic Party. You know, that extra mailer that they did, I think it clearly made a difference. But what Carolyn did want me to say, and you've heard her before, we must show up. And she said that once, she said it 10 times. And oh, how important it was this year with 1,465 votes, that every vote matters. And it does matter, right? And as Mo said, the turnout was down. Versus 2018, it was down almost 8% versus 2018. Just the Dayton precincts were down 25% versus 2018. So that's a lot of our voters that didn't show up. But we got to show up, and really the hard work starts now, because we got Matt Joseph, and we got a whole crew of people running for the local elections next year. And God, we got to get these people registered, and we got to get them out to vote. But I'll end with just saying thank you from Carolyn. And me. She told me I wasn't allowed to thank myself. So that goes without saying. But thanks to everybody on her team, and thanks to everybody here for her support. And we look forward to 4 more years.
Right? He was not joking. He was seriously banned from going to the garage. That's a real story. Carl Keith, come on up, sir. Top vote getter in Montgomery County right here. Right?
Jim Rouget said I only get 2 minutes. Is that right?
Mike took like
Mike, Mike. We always told Carolyn, 2 minutes, and she took 10. And she learned that from you. Here, I will say thanks to Mike, because, Mike, when it comes to putting up yard signs, no one is more of an animal than Mike Rice. Thank you, Mike, not only for what you did for Carolyn, but what you did for me and others. I mean, my signs would show up in these bizarre places, and I would know, oh, Mike Rice has been here. So thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you. It was an exciting election year for us, one where we worked extremely hard. We did polling in the summer, and we knew that this was going to be a tight race. We knew it was going to be tight races all across the board. We knew ours was going to be a tight race. And you think, well, why is that? And it's the times we live in, folks. Our Republican opponents did, when it comes to hard work, did very little. They weren't at candidates' nights. They didn't answer the League of Women Voters questionnaires. The League of Women Voters, some of the League of Women Voters debates were canceled because they wouldn't participate. When DeWine said he wasn't going to debate, that went all the way down. Now, the judicial candidates showed up. I will say that. But, none of the state reps. Occasionally, 1 or 2 would show up. But my opponent never showed up. Carolyn's opponent never showed up. But it shows us that, there's forces at work that sometimes some of them are beyond our control. And so it means that's why we have to work as hard as we do. What was at work when we did our polling? Inflation, gas prices, wars in Ukraine, Joe Biden's popularity. All of those things impacted all of our races. And those are things that we had to overcome, which means we have to have money and we have to work hard. I know it seems like we were constantly asking for money, and we were. And so, my advice to candidates that are planning to run next year, candidates that are planning to run in 2 years, 4 years, get busy. Get busy raising money, because you're going to need it. We have to go on TV. We have to do those types of things. Some of the things we think knocking on doors, and I'm not a believer in it, just not a believer in it, because unless you can knock on every door in the county the week before the election, it's lost. It's lost. So we have to do other things than that, and they cost money. Now, having said all that, what an incredible team I had to work with. Marty Garris is not here, my campaign manager, but Marty did a fantastic job for us. Kate Evans, my chief deputy, Mike Grill, Kevin Stout. The incredible team I had to work with this year. We all worked very hard. We wanted to represent our party the very best that we could, and I think we did. Thank you very much.
Meg was a writing, and I thought she did a hell of a job for just being a writing.
Hi, everybody. I'll let you eat. I won't take very long, but I just wanted to say thank you. I came in like 8 weeks before the election, so I wasn't running as long as everybody else, but I ran against Tom Young in District 37 as a write-in candidate, and I just wanted to thank all the precinct captains and Allison Benford for introducing them to me, and Carolyn and Mike Rice for giving me advice at the very beginning of whatever this was. It was an interesting experience, and I will definitely be around in the future. So, thank you.
We hope you do stick around, man. Thank you so much. You did a great job. I was going to call you, Mr. Esrati. Would you like to say a few words about your race, sir? Come on up. And then, is anybody here for Angelina? Is somebody going to speak on behalf of... All right, Kara, you want to speak on her behalf? Come on.
To all of you who voted for me, I'd like to say thank you. For those of you who didn't vote for me and didn't vote for Mike Turner, I'd like to say thank you. But I have to tell you something. It's hard to raise money from all the national sources when you have your own local party working against you. So I did it all myself, and I raised $40,000. Not a bad amount. I was very effective with that $40,000 on a cost per vote basis, as was Gary Josephson, who was also not endorsed and running in Clark County and another gerrymandered district. Between the two of us in Clark County, we trounced Nan Whaley. We didn't trounce the candidates we were supposed to running against, but we trounced Nan Whaley, and she was supported. And she had all those mailings, and she had money and support. I beat Nan in Greene County by 635 votes. And I came within 1,500 votes of her in Montgomery County. Now, you have to look at something here. There's about 50 of you here, precinct captains. We've got 382 precincts. Greene County has 180 precincts, and they have a turnout that's equal to ours at their meetings. Greene County runs a very friendly, welcoming meeting where everybody feels welcome. They call roll. They don't exclude people. They have subjects that are interesting so that Democrats might come, not just to hear, the business of the party, but learn something. There's a lesson to be learned here. We have to change the culture of this party in Montgomery County, because when I can't get an endorsement, I'm about as pro-choice as it comes, and I can't get an endorsement from Pro-Choice Ohio because somebody from this area has badmouthed me, that hurts. This can't keep working for you. This county has changed massively, and it's because we don't work together and we're worried about electing the friends and family more than we are about electing Democrats. It's time to stop endorsing in primaries. You're the only party in my 3-county district that endorses. Clark County, of course, barely has meetings and doesn't post anything online. But we have to do better. We have to be a welcoming party, and I'm going to get cut off. So I'm going to say thank you very much to those of you who supported me. I'm going to say Allison and Tim Benford are absolutely the two most amazing Democrats I've ever seen, and they do an incredible job. And if you go to a South Dayton Democratic party meeting, you'll learn something, and you will feel welcome. One last thing, the Greene County people had a thank you dinner at the Wandering Griffin Friday night. They raised $3,000 right there for charity. Not for their party, but for a local charity. They were giving back to the community. There's a lesson to be learned. We have to have systems in place. We have to have technology in place because, unfortunately, we're running elections. We're running auctions, not elections. I own that URL. I put up a site in support of Addison, Meg, Eric Price, myself. There's one other, and I can't remember, but you might want to go look at that, electionsnotauctions.com, because the amount of money that Addison was up against was unbelievable. 400,000 to 40. I think he had 40. Is that right, Addison? Yeah, give or take. So 10 times. You are not going to win elections unless you get a lot more efficient at spending money. And no, the answer is not television, it's not radio. And if you would accept my advice as somebody who owns an award-winning advertising agency, I can teach you how to do this. But that'll be another time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Here is Rex going to say something on the Avalanche meeting. Thank you.
Hey everybody, Angelina couldn't make it. She's getting back to her life who becomes judge. And I don't want to speak on behalf of the judge, so I will only speak on behalf of the campaign. That was a rough year. We ran the first contested primary for a judicial candidate in like 30 years. And what we were able to take out of that was name recognition going into the general election against our opponent who just wrote himself a $100,000 check. So he just flushed that all down the toilet because we had absolutely no money, but we had so much grit. I want to thank every single person here for everything that you've done. Everywhere that we lit dropped in this county, Huber Heights, Washington Township, Vandalia, we won those precincts. So you get out there, you hit those pockets of people. We can do this as a party. We can do it all together. Angelina Jackson, I mean, she's an amazing candidate as it is. She will be an amazing judge. But what we were able to do, we want to continue doing. If you guys have any questions, if you ever want to talk about stuff, we want to share what we learned. We had no idea what we were doing going into this. We had so much fun. It was just an amazing experience. I do have to give a special shout out to Michael Wright. Michael Wright sat down and he wrote a big fat check for the judicial fund campaign. And without his money, without his vision, I mean, he just really helped out all the judicial candidates this year. So, Michael Wright, I know you're not here, but thank you so much. You guys here, everybody at the Board of Elections, everybody throughout this county who took the time to help, to do anything that you could, thank you so much.
Any other candidates out there that I missed, or anybody here? Do you have any other candidates? I think I see anybody else. Mike, you want to come on up and give us a little update of what's going on with our website, please? This is our committee report.
Hey everyone, I'm Mike Burrell, the head of the Communications Committee, and I don't have a very long update today so that we can get to eating sooner rather than later, but all I wanted to say is that Zach Joseph has been working very hard on our website as we discussed at the last meeting. He's made even more changes since the election to kind of get all the election stuff off the website and get us into a more general state maybe. And I've heard from a lot of people some feedback on the website, some ideas people had. So really, I'm just here to say, to welcome that feedback. You can let me know by email, text, whatever feedback you have, and we'd love to incorporate that as we move forward. Do you want to add anything, Zach?
No, I just got married.
Congratulations on your marriage, and Reverend Harris just got married as well. Congratulations on your marriage, sir. Congratulations.
If I said that, not to get an applause, but with our city runs on a fiscal calendar fiscal year, so budget stuff for the city of Riverside, work, weddings, a whole bunch of stuff going on. So I haven't put as much time as like gave me the credit
You did a great job. He did.
I mean, I took it from where it was to where it's at now. I think it's kind of a clean slate is what I think of it as. And I can do whatever, I can take whatever feedback that you give me. There's a million things that I want to do to the website, but I'm one person, so I'd rather hear it from you all, get your creative input on what you want the site to be like. So again, follow up through communications committee, and I will do the best to get that updated.
Thank you. All right, thank you, sir. Any club announcements, South Dams, Northwest Dams, anything you guys want to say? Like to come on up? Northwest, you want to come on up too? Just line you guys up and you guys can go. Any other clubs out there? Anybody from the Dayton Club? All right.
Hello, good to see you all again. We went home, sorted out England, and we're back. Just a very quick overview of what we have been up to at the SDDC. All the way back to September, don't think I've spoken to you since then. We had a really well-attended candidate evening, had over 80 folks at the Oakwood Library. I'm just glad that the fire chief didn't come to see us because I think we were out of compliance there. So that was wonderful. In October, actually, we had Laura Rapo. She is from an organization called Save Our Warriors. She gave a very impactful presentation on non-clinical intervention for veterans, service members, and first responders who are contemplating suicide. Out of 1,000 people they've worked with so far, and it's based here in Ohio, they've only lost 8. So that is an amazing record that they have, so well worth supporting Save Our Warriors. November, we approached Thanksgiving, and our meeting was centered around food insecurity. So we invited Taylor Narragon from the Miami Valley Meals to tell us more about that amazing organization. If you don't know anything about Miami Valley Meals, they're chefs. Started off, I think, during COVID when they lost their jobs. But these chefs from the Miami Valley, plus many volunteers, they create these fabulous frozen meals. I mean, they're gourmet. They are good-looking meals. From food donated by Dayton area businesses. And they distribute these to tens of thousands of food insecure neighbors that we have here. I believe they fed 12,000 Thanksgiving Day dinners. And they do that through a number of different locations, but it is a really fantastic organization. Thanks to our growing membership of generous folks, the SDDC was able to donate to all of our candidates and to each of those worthy causes. So I want to thank those of you who come to the SDDC and pay your dues. It really is fantastic. Next week, about 40 of us will be gathering at the Troll Pub for a fun evening and holiday dinner and get together. And Kim Paras, who is my new vice president, and we've already started an interesting 2023, I think, calendar. We've many issues and organizations we hope to explore with speakers and activities. We're hoping also to involve more people in the process of getting our candidates recruited, prepared, and supported in our local elections. Building on what Mohammed said, our house was a staging location again this year. And 4 years ago, we probably had 250 people come through our house to canvass. This time, about 20. That was the difference in volunteerism. And I believe that we were one of maybe 3 staging locations, and we were maybe the best. So that was the drop-off. It was huge. It was absolutely huge. Our first meeting of 2023 will be on January 18th, 7 o'clock at the Oakwood Library. And pursuant to the overreaching vote this week to remove power from the State Board of Education, and as a former educator, I am not pleased, we've invited Michael Carter, Senior Advisor to the President of Sinclair Community College and the Chief Diversity Officer, to address the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion in our local schools. From what I've heard, Michael is a powerful speaker and advocate. So please, you're all welcome. You don't have to be a member to come to any of our meetings. If anything sounds interesting to you, just come along. We're happy to welcome you.
What time does it start?
7 o'clock on the 18th.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tony Carrington. I'm the president-elect of the Northwest Dems, and we're really centered around Harrison Township, Trotwood, Clayton, Inglewood, Jefferson Township, and Dayton. But I'm happy to be here. We'll have our formal election January the 10th, which is the second Thursday, I think. And we're finally got a home site, a stable home site at Harrison Township Community Center, which we used to have before. So we secured that for the entire year. And we got major reminders come November to renew for the following year. So I want to make sure we stabilize that. But we've got some tremendous members in our club. They're very active, and it was real highly demonstrated during LaRonda Jackson's campaign. Every time I looked around, we had members out campaigning for LaRonda and doing tremendous things. You know, we had some sites where, you know, we centralized over at Martha Clark's house location where we handed out maps for people to go on campus. And it was like a religion. We just showed up. And I think we did a tremendous job for her, considering, you know, she got a new race slate. And but she hung in there, and believe it or not, she's ready to do it again. So and I call Addison, he's ready. So those are some of the things that we really got to encourage our candidates that are maybe didn't do so well this time around, but they have the energy and the desire to you know, bring forth that towards their candidacy, and also, you know, to represent their districts. One other thing, we're going to be doing some of the things that Allison outlined. I went to several of her meetings, and she has a very engaging meeting, which, you know, I really like what she does. But you know, she's not doing it by herself. She's got a lot of engaged people. Like she said, you know, you're welcome to come, just like you can come to ours and not be a member. But by the time you leave, you will be a member. So that's the way that she pushes when you come to her meetings. It's so engaging, and I want to represent that, and I want my team to do the same thing. So with that, I'll just end it with that, because I don't want to say anything negative, which is hard for me to do. And that's why you got this little chair, so we can see you. But anyway, thanks so much for listening, and hope we have some more. In fact, one more thing. One of the things that we talked about this among ourselves with my vice president, is one thing we're going to do is reach out in the community to the other clubs. You know, we don't just want to isolate ourselves from being outliers, saying we're doing tremendous things, and not share those thoughts and those what I want to say. Lessons learned, that we need to spread that throughout our Democratic Party. We don't need to keep it to ourselves and isolate ourselves. So one of the things we know, there's some great things they're probably doing with the West Dayton Dems. There are things that are being done tremendously with the South Dayton Dems, and I'm sure there's some things that are going to be doing well with the Northwest Dems. So we need to do that and kind of unify this party and keep it moving forward. So let's all raise our hands and clap for that motion. That really is what we need to do. So again, I'm a big cheerleader. I know we can all do that, because if we put our minds to it, we can do anything we want.
Thank you, Tony. Nothing negative. That's great. Take it. All right.
We'll save it.
You're saving it? Save it for the future. Thank you, sir. All right. Is there any... I'm going to take new business for the party at this time. I know, Zach, you have one thing. All right. Zach has something.
All right, I'm going to reiterate kind of on the common cause that's been said here tonight, that we need to look forward. This is, like, the room's kind of empty for a party of 300 people, right? This is when people tune out. And August, the filing deadline for local races is at 9 months. And the city of Riverside, Brenda and I, we started the Riverside Democratic Club. A couple of former council members, her and I. And our goal is to, well, a little anecdotal fact, I think Riverside's about 89% Republican. We have a majority of Democrats on city council. So out of the 7, there's 4 of us. We want to make that 7. We have a race coming up this year. We're going to be looking to fill candidates for it, to run for mayor, run for council. But in all your cities, we're all precinct captains, right? And if you don't have a super majority of Democrats on your city council, find someone. It's not that hard. It's 50 some odd signatures in most municipalities. It takes a couple of door knockings. A lot of you have been very familiar with that. So this is the time where we shouldn't be tuning out, to locate those next candidates, to build our bench. If you know someone, make a good elected official, reach out to them, extend them your help, and let's see if we can get some more Democrats on the ballot to not have unopposed races for the coming November election. Thanks.
Thank you, Zach. Just to build on that, we're actually emailing everyone on the executive committee a list of all the open races around Montgomery County. So you will get that list pretty soon with any race that's open and not filled by a Democrat, and any race we need to oppose. So we will be sending that out next week. So any other new business for the party? Yes, sir. Are you a member? Are you a member of the party? Are you a member?
Oh, yeah.
No. Are you a member of the Central Committee? No? All right, let me close the meeting, then I'll let you speak, if that's okay with you, because this is for Central Committee meetings. All right. Hearing none, if there are none, I will take a motion to adjourn. I'll let the gentleman speak. Is there a motion to adjourn? Yes, sir. Yes, this is new business. If you got new business,
It's just kind of review.
go ahead. I'm giving you a few minutes. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Come on up.
Sure, thanks.
Yeah, they say I'm not welcoming. I'm trying to be as welcoming.
No, I appreciate it. I found you plenty welcoming.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add something to the lessons learned category. That I felt like a little bit of the not showing up this election came down to basically rocks left on the ground in terms of things to motivate voters to come out besides candidates. Very, very happy, sir, to hear you declare our intention as a party to be issues focused moving forward, because the state Republican Party is working really, really hard to danger enfranchisement for literally everybody. And in this last election, we had 2 very big deal issues, issues 1 and 2, and I found it extremely, extremely hurtful to have the party be silent, to have our top candidates declare for. And, you know, my wife's an immigrant, and I know, and you are too, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you, and I just expected that our party might have at least something to say about issue 2, especially with Dayton Daily News running Bill Seitz's piece, which was really racist and hurtful, which again is why they're not us, and we're not them. But moving forward, had we just rallied around something like that and educated people, because it just passed by 80%. So some people we know voted for those things, both of them. And both of them make it harder to do what we want to do. And, you know, we have to engage with people, we have to do education, and we have to motivate around issues, not just people, to separate ourselves from Republicans deeply and clearly. And we will have to do some door knocking. It can't just be all steak dinners and tacos. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Tony, you already spoke. You want one more? You want more? Go ahead.
You have to come up and speak with the microphone.
Tony, come on up. It's okay.
Microphone.
No.
Yes.
Go ahead, sir. I can repeat what you
heard from here. There is someone I'd really like to introduce who's an elected official.
Someone who was an elected official. Who's
Yes,
here.
he's our mayor from.
Mayor Mike Stevens. Okay, yes. He's done an amazing job being a Democratic lately. He's done an amazing mayor. Done an amazing job, yes. You didn't have a race this year, though, right? No, you did not. All right. All right, if there are no other business, I will take a motion to adjourn. Mike?
Question for you, Mr. Chair.
Mike King.
Yes.
Yeah, we can't hear you, man. You're too far. There's a Zoom meeting, too. They have to hear you. How many people do we have on Zoom, by the way? 12 people on Zoom that need to hear you, sir. That's up. All right, thank you, sir. All right, yes. Is there a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn is that Ms. Dawn. Hi, Dawn. Is there a second? All right, it's been moved and seconded and thirded. Any opposed? All right, second, I think it was Gus. All right, all four, say aye. Aye. Any against? Hearing none, we're adjourned. All right, hold on. There's a gentleman who came up that wanted to say a few words. I want to give him the space to say what he needs to say to us. He just wasn't part of the executive committee, but if you want to say a few words. No, you're fine. This is just wants to, no problem. Please come on up and say what you need to say, sir.
I've been a member of the Democratic Party in this county ever since I was about yay big, and now I've been happy with our progress in Montgomery County, and I got my boss where I did. That's Carl Keith, and also we got our county commissioner we elected, and I will also mention this too. I've called the new congressman down in Hampton County. His name is Greg Lansman, and I left a message with him, and I suggest that lots of other Democrats do that too, and he defeated Steve Shabbat down in Hampton County, and now every time you drive through Warren County, you can say this is a county represented by a Democrat. That's right. So that I will keep it positive and short. Now we can eat.
As announced, now we can eat. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.